Hello, welcome or welcome back. I'm doing another video, another book review this time. A little bit of a different genre. I don't think I've done a review on this genre before, but it is a horror book this time, and it's Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin, with an introduction as well by Chuck Palahniuk, who wrote Fight Club. I think that's right. I'm sure I mentioned that. Yeah, Fight Club and Choke. I can't say I've heard of Choke, but obviously Fight Club's very big. I had actually watched the film a couple of years ago before reading the book, before I actually realised it was a book. I wanted to give it a go. Not there, maybe. It was, what is it, like just over 229 pages, which isn't too bad. So it was quite easy to read. It didn't take a long time to read. I think it took me like 5 days, I think, just reading a couple of chapters each day. So it is a horror. If I had to put this book into 3 words, it would be trust and relationships. It's unsettling, and there is kind of like an occult vibe going on within it. I won't give any spoilers. If you've watched the film, I'm sure you'll be aware. But yeah, I did buy this book. It was on one of my previous videos, actually. When I went to London, I picked this up from Camden Town bookshop. It was £9, which I thought was quite good for a new book. I really like having a look at independent bookshops where possible. Obviously love like Waterstones and things like that as well, but where I can buy from independent or secondhand, I often buy from like World of Books, Oxfam bookshops, things like that, charity shops. They're always worthwhile having a look at. I really enjoyed the book. I thought it carried a lot of suspense throughout, but it wasn't predictable like a lot of horrors are. One thing that I really liked was that introduction by Chuck Palahniuk, because it mentions around how this book kind of was one of the first to kind of bring horror into the household, whereas before it would have been in a castle, say for example if it's Dracula, or in some haunted mansion, or you know, it wouldn't be just like in your everyday home where everything kind of unfolds. So that is in itself, you think, how can you make that? It's harder to make that scarier, because and set a scene that is unsettling compared to a lot of other I was gonna say horror films then, horror novels. I really liked Rosemary. I think she's an interesting female protagonist. She is quite headstrong, unlike a lot of women depicted in horror. So Ira Levin, I believe it is a male writer, I am fairly certain. Yeah, not to be sexist, women aren't always depicted in the best way, particularly in horror. They're always like doing stupid things and getting themselves into a worse situation, things like that. But I found that Rosemary, you could understand where she was coming from. Her thought processes, her actions were not always like 100% rational, but under the circumstances they were understandable. It is quite close to the film adaptation, more so than I expected it to be. I personally feel like both are very, very well done, and that doesn't always happen. Usually you'll say, you know, the book was far better than the film. There's not many instances where I would say I feel like the film is better than the book, and this will probably be controversial, but for me, The Shining, the film adaptation, I actually liked better than the book by Stephen King, and it's very different. It's not a lot of things are very, very different within the the book compared to the film. I think that is Stanley Kubrick taking a lot of artistic license with that and making it his own, and I think that worked well, to be honest. I can't say there's any others, I don't think, that where I'd say the book is like below the film. But this, I feel like they're on par, to be honest. I would have a hard time saying which one is better than the other, because they're very similar. That introduction I felt was really good. It made me think about typical horror stories, and how that kind of concept of it being in a normal place rather than like an old hotel, rundown hotel, or in the middle of nowhere. It must have been quite radical at the time of publishing. I have given it 5 out of 5 stars. And a little picture of the front cover as well. Yeah. I would definitely recommend it. It's not a huge commitment or anything like that, but it's such a good one to just pick up if you're not sure what to read, because it's not going to take you, you know, weeks on end to read. I want to read The Exorcist as well. I've heard that is a really good book. I've watched the film, but not read the book yet. It's another one I would like to. That is Pip choking. You okay, Pip? I can see her through there, she's fine. Let me know if there are any particular horror books that you've read that you really enjoyed. I really like horror films. I've watched a lot of them, particularly around October time. I really enjoy watching some on the run up to Halloween. And that's when I watched Rosemary's Baby, actually. It must have been like 2 years ago now. So it was a good amount of time between watching it and reading the book, because a lot of it I had forgotten what happens in it. When I went home to see my dad last, he was saying that my mum had taped Rosemary's Baby. It must have been on TV at some point, and they essentially got to the end, almost the end of the film, and the tape cut off. They never got to watch like the last 10 minutes. That must have been really annoying. Yeah, all that suspense for nothing. Thanks for joining me for another book review. I've not gone into too much detail with what happens or anything like that. Let me know if you've read it. Like I say, any recommendations that you think that I might like, or that you've read that you've enjoyed. I'll see you in another one. Take care. Bye.